Seeing as we're firmly in the Halloween season, a slight adjustment to my model seems only appropriate. So on that note, delightful. The 1992 classic silent film Nosferatu has a remake in the works, so I'd say it's an excellent time to revisit the original. The movie was intended as an adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but all the character names were changed in the face of legal issues of the time. Today, it's famous not just as the oldest depiction of vampires in cinema, but as one of the most iconic horror films ever. Now let's sink our fangs into it. The story is set in Wisborg, Germany, and focuses on the young realtor Hutter. When his employer, Nock, gives him a special assignment, he leaves his wife Ellen for the distant castle of Count Orlok to negotiate a real estate purchase for the Count in Wisborg. Unfortunately, Hutter realizes too late that Orlok has a sinister, supernatural side to him. Brilliant powers of observation there. And the Count's ensuing journey to Wisborg brings with it a wave of sickness, death, and terror. It's a surreal experience to watch a movie as old as this one. Forget the modern era of CGI. This film doesn't even have audio. Dialogue and exposition are given through on-screen text. Any special effects have to be accomplished through clever tricks of editing, and the picture quality is every bit as rough and grainy as you would expect from early 20s cinema. And I wouldn't have it any other way. In the absence of vocal tracks, it becomes more important to focus on the actors' expressions and body language to gauge the characters, and they are expressive indeed. It's easy to trace Hutter's shift from jubilant young man to haunted survivor. Ellen's thoughtful concern is evident throughout the entire movie. Nock looks as cunning as he is creepy, and Orlok himself has a striking, predatory look in his eyes every time he's on screen. Without audio and sound effects, the movie is also more dependent on the overlaying musical score to set the mood. Depending on which version you watch, and there are multiple, the soundtrack you hear will be more suitable for different moments and to different degrees. The organ music in my copy didn't quite mesh well with the bright, lively opening scenes, but it added an old Gothic feel to the movie overall. It also set an appropriate tone as the suspense grew over the course of the story. The lack of modern effects works surprisingly well for this movie. Orlok's appearance is disturbing enough with just makeup, prosthetics, and wardrobe, but Max Schreck's focused stare elevates it even further. Good luck relaxing with someone like that watching you. And the low-level editing produces effects that are just close enough to reality to be believable, which makes them so much more chilling. Orlok's silhouette and his emergence from a coffin are simple shots, but there's a reason they've become so iconic over time. Even the grainy visual quality enhances this movie. Motion often appears rough, and it clearly looks like frames are skipped at multiple points, but that chopped, glitchy quality just makes Orlok's behavior appear more unnatural and unsettling as a result. Movies like The Ring have emulated that styled, frightening effect, but it was movies like this that spawned it. And the total lack of color adds a bleak, desolate feeling throughout the film. It just goes to show that a huge budget and lavish visual effects aren't required for a visceral viewing experience. Nosferatu has been released in multiple versions and formats over the years, so it's easy to find and buy for yourself. My physical copy is part of a film collection, and it's a version that actually uses Bram Stoker's original set of names. The movie is actually in the public domain, so you don't even need to pay to see it. I still suggest obtaining it physically. It's a classic that deserves its place on the shelf. And if you haven't seen it yet, then I can't recommend enough that you give it a watch. It's certainly going to be interesting to see how the remake measures up.